Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago and beyond. This is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. Today is Thursday, March the 20th. I don't know.
It's always Thursday.
It's always
unless it's not.
We've been recording on Thursdays for fucking 8 years, and I'm like, it's Wednesday today. I don't know. It's Thursday, March the 20th. I got it wrong. You're not surprised. And today, our leader, our fearless leader, Donald Trump, signed an executive order with no effect, of course, because Congress has to work on it, to eliminate the Department of Education. So that's the thing that happened on Thursday, the 20th of March, 2025. That's great news.
Yeah, I think like throughout history, Republicans have always tried to be like, except for Bush, who I think tried to do what he could, even though it was bad. What he did was bad with the No Child Left Behind stuff. Yeah. Even though he did bad stuff, he at least recognized that education was important.
Sure.
But I think ever since then, there has been a genuine attack on that. I don't know if you remember, but there was 2 or 3 of these Republican debates where people are writing it on their hands to delete it. So it's not like it's a surprise that they wanted to get rid of it. Yeah, it's bad. It's terrible. Mm-hmm. And it's terrible for people with special needs. Almost certainly it's the worst for them. And, you know, I don't know how far it's going to get. We're going to talk about a lot of stories today that have a lot of the same sort of, they have the same arc. The story arc is they did something horrifying.
Right.
It's now going to the judge, and the judge is saying, you did something horrifying. And then it's going to go back to them, and then we're going to see if they ignore it.
Right.
Because that's kind of where we're at.
Cross your fingers. Let's figure
at.
out if we still have a functional democracy.
Yeah, no, it's been real tough. It's been real difficult. And last week we recorded, and we were sitting here, you and I, we talked over dinner, and we were both thought, well, at least this particular thing, you're going to need 60 votes for this budget. Yeah. You got to at least you're going to have to at least do something. There's got to be some sort of compromise. Yeah. And
we're not.
We were horrifyingly wrong. Yeah. Turnstile, just an absolute turnstile. The Democrats literally just said, no problem. Our fucking senator signed on with them.
It's fucking unbelievable.
Dick Durbin, I know he's retiring, but I would 100% vote for somebody else that would primary him. If he wasn't retiring, he's retiring. Yeah. So it's not like at this point he's like, fuck it, I don't care, but fuck him. And like also while it was Biden in office, he was kind of milquetoast too, should have been taking people to task in several of those committees, and we saw him kind of watch people push him over. So I'll be happy when he's gone.
I'm happy to see that fucker go.
Just go. Yep. I'm glad. Good. Go. Get rid of Schumer. Get rid of all these turnstile people. I listened to the Daily this week, and I listened to sort of Schumer's address of what his thoughts were on this, and his big thing was, if we shut the government down, and this is something we talked about, if they shut the government down, is that helping them? Is this the thing that's going to help the Republicans? Because if you shut the government down, you're basically giving them what they want, which is what they want is a government that's non-functional. And his argument was, when they start turning things back on, they might just decide not to turn certain parts of it on. And I hate that argument because they're already continuing to turn off parts they don't like. So it doesn't matter whether or not they're going to turn it on or turn it off. At least you could have fought a little bit and done something and gotten some assurances, gotten something out of it instead of just saying, yeah, fine, we'll fund you.
Yeah, man. Look, the robbers are coming to your house. Are you opening the door and showing them where all your good shit is? Or are you slamming maybe they're showing up with battering rams and there's 30 of them and you know they're getting in, right? That's what's happening here. They're getting in. I'm still shutting and locking my door, right? I'm still making it more difficult. Yeah. I am not welcoming them into the fucking house and walking around and being like, oh, here's where my wife keeps her jewelry, right? Because I'm not an asshole. And this is exactly the thing. Like, they're going to break what they want to break. So you're not protecting anything, Schumer. What have you protected? You've protected nothing. We control no levers of power. The only levers of power we control are those levers that require 60 fucking votes.
Yeah, man.
And there's not a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of them. So this was one of our levers. And we were just like, hands off. That's our approach. Here you go. Let me lube myself up when you fuck me.
And the thing is like giving that to them just shows them that you're spineless.
Yep.
And that they'll do whatever they want anyway.
Yeah.
So if they would have screamed and cried and yelled on TV and said the Democrats are shutting the government down, deal with it. Yeah. Go out and say, well, we're not shutting the government down. What we're doing is not giving them a blank check to do whatever they want because they're already tearing the government apart and you're already feeling the aftermath of that.
Yeah,
How hard is that to spin? These people act like it's the toughest thing in the world to get in front of a camera and spin their government is bad on people. That's not a spin.
I know.
That's just a truth, man.
Dude, they're acting like it's their first day in politics.
Yeah.
Like they don't understand like that the way this game is played, the way that like you have to fight and like the dirty dealing and the way that you've got to like present your message. They're acting like they're in fucking student government or something. Man. Like grow the fuck up. Grow a pair. Dude. Let's do something. What with this doing nothing is not going to help. What do we think they're going to stop? Oh, you know what? The Democrats, they voted for our funding bill. So we're going to go ahead and not do the evil shit that we now have all the authority to do. Yeah. Of course, they're going to do everything they were going to do.
Yeah, they're going to do it anyway.
They're eating your fucking lunch, man.
They're going to do it anyway. And I think shutting the entire government down accelerates the anger of the rest of the people in the country because suddenly everything's down. It's not just the pieces they don't want to see.
Right.
It's everything's down. Well, everything being shut down suddenly gets a lot of people angry, and they're already angry at all these town halls. You have plenty of ways to manipulate that and to show people, hey, this is a bad thing. They're already doing it. You know, like there's people out touring right now and trying to stir this sort of thing up to show people how bad a government we have right now and how dangerous a government we have. And the things that they're cutting out are going to be long-lasting effects for us that we're going to feel the ripples of for decades if we even fix it afterwards. If we even get back to even close to where we were before. You know, all the progress that we had in the early 2000s, you know, I guess in the 2008 to 2016, right? All that early progress gone. Yeah. Just gone. Everything. They're talking about, you know, look at what they're doing to the LGBT community. Look at what they're doing look at how they're, you know, we're going to talk about things that they're taking down that they call DEI, and it's all just racist.
It is so racist.
So
man.
You're going to have to claw that shit back. So I am with everybody who's like, get rid of everybody, every single person on the left that is fucking capitulating to these people. Just get rid of them. Mark their names down in your little book. And I'll tell you what, whoever, if Durbin was running again, I would 100% do whatever I could. And that would probably wind up just being money because I don't have a lot of time, but I would do whatever I could to make sure whoever was running against him
absolutely
is the person.
I would same thing, man. We got to encourage primaries against these fucking assholes. 100%. Like this cannot stand. It cannot stand.
As Mr. Sloman always says, there's no I in team, but there is an I in pie. There's an I in meat pie. The anagram of meat is team. I don't know what he's talking about. Look, that's it.
So Cecil, you had mentioned taking down anything with the. Let me actually change this because it's not so much about taking things down so much as it is about erasure, like the complete erasure of minorities across this country in favor of straight up white supremacy. That's what's going on. Yeah. Like, I don't even like the framing of any of this as DEI. Like it's kind of playing into their hands,
I don't
right?
Either. It really is.
This is a white supremacist moment. This story is from KSBW Action News. I don't know what that is. Jackie Robinson's Army history scrubbed from Department of Defense websites. This is just straight up white supremacist shit.
Yeah. And supposedly they took it down in error, right? But the URL added DEI.
Yeah.
So they took it down in error. It's up now. But these are people who went through and were, you know, you get big balls, eugenicist in chief in there, and he's going to write a bunch of, I'm kidding, of course, that guy probably isn't doing it. But there are these orders are not being, these aren't organic orders from people. These aren't just people like looking for busy work to do in the jobs they have. These are orders passed down from on high to, when they say jump, what they mean is erase all Black history, because the Tuskegee Airmen get deleted. They're not going to talk about them anymore in different places. They're
fuck
erasing
is that?
all these. And here's the thing. Take down a fucking Confederate monument.
Yeah, man.
And watch all these fucking cockroaches come out in tiki torches and their fucking khakis and screaming, they will not replace us. Jews will not replace us. You take down one fucking Confederate monument to some fucking monster, right? To some fucking monster who, what he wanted was the status quo of slavery to stay in place.
100%.
So that fucking awful human being's got a monument somewhere down in the South where everybody walks by and loves their monument of whoever the fuck, like Fort Bragg, right? All the other places, all these places that had these Confederate names. Look at how these people get their fucking knickers in a twist when it comes to those things. They'd start taking this stuff down and they're like, oh, what? This is not a big deal. What? It's not a big deal.
Yeah, they're not taking down all notices of all individual people who served, right? Yeah. They're not going through and saying, hey, you know what?
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
The selectivity of just singling out minorities for exclusion, well, it automatically leaves only the fucking white people to celebrate.
Yeah.
There is no way that that's not racist. It's not like they're saying, hey, we're actually removing all stories on our Department of Defense website of all individual service members because, we really want to focus on, there's fucking no I in team or whatever fucking nonsense they might want to say, right?
Yeah.
They're not doing that. They're just getting rid
of...
Army
of one, though.
There is actually it's confusing. Your slogans are confusing. What's that? Just sign up and shut up? Okay, all right, I'll do that.
Sure.
Yeah, like this whole thing. And then also the work they're doing is just so obviously sloppy. Like they got rid of the fucking like references to the Enola Gay because the word gay is there. Like it's clearly like bad algorithmic decision-making bullshit where somebody sat at a computer and plugged in, keywords. And we're like, I don't know, just scrub everything based on keywords.
Yeah. Let's
not even have humans look at any of this. Let's destroy the social fabric of our nation, but let's be lazy about it.
And there might be somebody who sends us a message and is like, oh, well, what they really were trying to do. Well, fuck what they were really trying to do.
I don't care.
What's the fucking outcome? Right? What is their fucking ham-handed outcome that comes out from this? Basically racism. That's what the outcome is. And tell me whether it was a fucking, just an innocent mistake or it was this, how you should feel if you're a person of color and you see this.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter, because either way, they don't fucking care about you, whether it was a mistake or not. Because obviously they didn't give a fuck about you until somebody pointed it out to them.
Yeah. And the thing is, and I think this is important to remind people of, is they are erasing people of color and they're erasing women and they're erasing LGBT references. And when you take all of that and you start adding it up, what this is a minority rule.
Yeah.
They are no longer erasing numerical minorities, right? When we say minority, what we're talking about is people who have a minority of power. And they are platforming and they are continuing to ensconce into power a statistical minority of people. White men are not the majority.
Yeah.
They will lead you to believe that they are the majority because they control all the levers of power. That's intentional. But they are a minority of human beings that wake up and draw air and take shits. Like they are not the most biologically, the most of us.
Numerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a way better word than the most of us.
Yeah. That you could use for that, sure.
The most of us. Aya's words. You should listen to me.
Amazing.
And remember, you don't have to be a convicted murderer / public masturbating rapist pedophile to want to look like one. Sex criminal fashions, because the bad boy look is for pussies.
LGBTQ Nation, GOP representative who wanted to protect girls from trans people, arrested for preying on young girl.
Okay, I'm not going to make fun of how this guy looks, but I am going to say, are you surprised? That's all I'm saying. I'm not making fun of him.
Yeah.
He looks how he looks.
Yeah.
But tell me, if he was in a lineup of 100 other people,
Dude.
you wouldn't be able to pick that guy up.
1,000%. Also, like if fucking Circle K Trucker Speed had a fucking spokesperson, it would be this guy.
He's like crushing Vibrant and snorting them. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
this guy also.
Not all of those people turn out bad.
You didn't snort it. Though,
I didn't snort it, but I put it in my
into
coffee.
stuff. Yeah. My coffee doesn't have enough Vibrant in it.
Dude,
I need more Vibrant in my coffee.
There's literally no way I
Why
should have
didn't your
survived.
heart stop?
I have no idea. Genuinely,
so
I
we're
don't
talking
know.
about Tom when he was in college. He would crush Vibrant.
Yeah, because it hits hard.
And he put it in his coffee.
Yeah.
And then he would pour that coffee into a coffee maker and then make
coffee?
more coffee. So he would heat his Vibrant up to that perfect temperature.
Oh,
and
God.
then he would inject it.
Mainline it. Well, I will say you got to do the Vibrant as the last step, though,
Vibrant
because
is the last
you
step.
don't want it getting caught in the filter.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
don't wanna
wanna
get caught
caught in the filter. You don't want to deal with that lime buildup to be Vibrant in your coffee maker. That's something you want to avoid.
I don't know. My heart 100% should have stopped.
Yeah. Was there ever a time you're like, I did too much Vibrant?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Because you shit your brains out.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Like,
Oh, man.
Yeah, like, I don't want to be like, but like, if you take an enormous amount of stimulants, it stimulates everything.
I didn't realize that. I guess I always thought like drugs sort of slowed everything down.
Oh, no.
Well, only certain drugs do that.
Brazil.
So only certain drugs do that,
Yeah.
right? So like I know like heroin, I don't know what is that stuff?
Oh, yeah. Any opiate. Opiates bind you up.
Yeah, they bind you up.
Opiates
Yeah,
bind
yeah,
you
yeah.
up. Stimulants stimulate.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah, man. It's a rocket fuel through your intestines. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like
cranks those things
woo,
up.
woo.
You're a pole start at that point.
You know you've pushed it a little too. Yeah, and also like I should have done, but like you'd sweat like crazy.
Well, that sucks because now like you're staying up, but you're only staying up to shit. Like,
it does damage your productivity. I will say, like it just. But like
it damages your toilets.
Like as a guy trying to get an English degree, I can read a book anywhere.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So if I had like, because there were times I'd be like, I got to read like 2 books tonight. Like I got to read 2 books.
How did you put that off until then?
Have we met?
Jesus Christ, Tom.
Cecil.
2 books.
20 some years. And you're asking me
How
this
do you
now.
read 2 books in one night?
Fast.
You must read it fast. It's easy now.
Yeah.
Now you're like, ChatGPT, lie to me.
Like, no, but like if you read for 10 or 12 hours, you can bang through 2 books. Like, like if you read
I couldn't read
page and a half a minute and you don't take a lot of breaks. Yeah.
My body would shut down.
Well,
My
yeah,
brain
not
would shut
if you
down.
fucking
I guess that's
fill
true.
it full of stimulants.
And if I'm stuck in the bathroom the entire time, I'll be bored. This is before cell phones. This is before you could play Words with Friends on the
There's nothing else to do. Like you jerk off twice and you're like, all right, now I've got a long time to read.
I want to get back to this guy, though, because this guy, this crazy dude who's, a terrifying individual.
Yes.
Decides to also pass a law about Trump derangement syndrome, tries to get it past the Minnesota House or whatever, tries to introduce the bill. And then he's caught for preying on, a young kid. And you're just like, of course. It's all a confession.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is a projection. All of this is a confession. There's so many of these instances that happen. And it's just so gross.
It is. And like, it's also, you see a guy like this and his Trump derangement syndrome, he wants to pass a bill to make it a real diagnosis. But it's like, that's not even how diseases, they don't, it's not like they're like, okay, we got to pass a bill or Parkinson's doesn't exist. That's not how any of this works.
Oh, man.
That's not how any of this works, man. It's just.
And you can't rely on Congress because they just shut down now. Did you see?
Oh, God.
Did you see McConnell shut down again?
No, did he really?
Well, not really. Like he's standing there and he's just looking. And then he looks out and he looks over at his aide and he's like, my hearing ain't what it used to be. And then she had to ask him, she had to come and be like, he's talking about tariffs. And he's like, I don't like tariffs.
Oh my God.
Oh God. This is the worst timeline.
It is
the worst timeline. Whoever is running the simulation, they fucking hate us so much.
Don't you feel like
they hate
us?
They hate people who like reality. They're like, yeah, man, I'm sorry. We're going to fucking ruin everything for you.
I feel like whoever was running the simulation and like at some point they just like walked away from the machine to go get coffee and they just never came back.
Yeah.
And it's all just been chugging along and getting worse and because like the little bugs in the programming just start accelerating on each other.
You know, when you buy a game, sometimes you're able to do a thing called modding it. And so you can download like these other people will go through and code in, you know, make all the heads be like Pikachus or something.
Sure, right,
you can, you know, do all kinds of crazy shit. You could change the gravity in your game. You can, you know, you can make you could make a GT5 look like Minecraft or whatever it is that you want to do. There's a ton of people who mod these games. And I feel like somebody just downloaded way too many. And they're like,
now.
There's so many in the simulation that now they're just like fighting each other. And they're like, yeah, no, we downloaded Campus Craziness. And then we downloaded, it's like every Tucker segment. So like every single Tucker segment got downloaded.
Run the Plague Inc. one too. Just run.
Oh my God, it's not in the notes. I just saw the story, and it's not going to be. We're not going to be talking about it. We're talking about it alongside of this particular Trump derangement syndrome, but it's okay.
Yeah.
There is the Mennonites that are down in Texas. One of them lost a little girl, 6-year-old.
Oh.
And they're interviewing her. They're interviewing the parents, and they're interviewing them on like a anti-vaccine network. And they're asking them questions and whatever. And they have to have an interpreter because they speak like Low German or whatever. So there's like a whole interpreter they have to have. But they said, don't vaccinate your kids. Like it's worse if the vaccine's worse than their dead kid.
What do they think the vaccine kills you twice?
I mean, because they're sold a lie that it causes autism. So what does that say about autistic kids?
Right.
If
Worse
they're saying that that's worse than death.
Yeah.
What does that say about them?
Fucking hell.
But genuinely, that's not true.
No.
And they buy it.
Right.
But they lost a child and they're standing by. They're saying, don't rush out and get a vaccination. Don't do it. They're still because they had 4 other ones that survived it. So it's like a die roll, I guess.
Yeah.
Like they rolled a unlucky roll on one of them.
Well, that's like I have a lot of people in my life. Just because I have a lot of people in my life doesn't make any of them disposable.
I know, it's like
what? Like, can you be like, well, I've got other ones. What?
An assassin knocks on your door, got to pick one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Eeny meeny. I think eeny meeny is the only way to do it.
Let's roll it down.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Jesus
all
Christ.
The mods. All the craziest
all of them.
mods.
All of them. Run the Mennonites have the plague mod.
Yeah.
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
Hey, we didn't see that one coming.
Actually, we did.
We saw that one coming. Yeah. We're actually in our house. We're going to get MMR boosters.
Yeah.
Because
you have to go to like the drugstore or whatever, right?
We'll just go to CVS. Yeah. We'll just swing over to CVS. We're going to do
I saw a thread in fans of. And they had said, you can't get your doctor. Your doctor won't do it. So like you ask your doctor.
Told me he told me I could do it in my physical, but that's not for like next month.
A bunch of people are asking their doctor. And their doctors are saying, no, your immunity should be fine. You'll be fine. And so they're all like, no, I'm going to go get it again. And so they're all going to go because CVS doesn't check. They don't care.
Well, it's because because we have no centralized it's how I got 1 million vaccines for COVID.
Yeah.
It made me laugh. It's like the only advantage to not having any kind of centralized healthcare system is that nobody knows what's happening.
Yeah.
Like if you fucking miss a payment on your goddamn Discover card, everybody that's ever lent you money in all the history of time gets a fucking email and a blowjob or whatever. But like, if you get a vaccine, nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
It's a secret vaccine. Your medical history is a secret to everybody.
And it's one of those things that like, of all the things we should know about people, that might be an interesting and important thing to know.
Every doctor I go to should know what all the other doctors I've gone to have done and said. And that would be really important if like I were unconscious in a hospital.
Yeah.
Right? Like they could look at because like they could get my social security number and be like, oh, he's got a 780 credit score. But they can't like pull up my shit and be like, oh, you know what? He takes fucking beta blockers or whatever. Like I don't take beta, but you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
I need to find someone who can translate into 7 different languages.
Well, I can do that. Yeah, I did a TEFL in my gap year.
All right, this story is from the AP. Judge rules DOGE's USAID dismantling likely violates the Constitution. It likely violates the Constitution, Cecil. And he did say, like, we can't reverse all the firings, but you got to stop now. And I think that's great, but all those people are still fucking fired. Yeah. USAID is essentially crippled.
It's dismantled. Yeah. I mean, they dismantled it anyway.
Right.
But they still have to send the money out, right? So they still have to do certain things because they're saying, like, we've promised those funds. You can't just say no. I just did on the other show I do, we just did Elon Musk.
No Rogan experience.
Yeah, no Rogan. We had Elon Musk. We did the Elon Musk recent visit to Joe Rogan, and he just straight up lied about multiple things that had to do with USAID. And they're so easy to fact check that he's just wrong and lying about these things. But these people they're dismantling our government. They're dismantling our soft power. They're dismantling, really good work that the United States government did. And there's a lot of people, when I said this, I think last week, where I said, there's people who will comment on our threads and things that are anti, sort of liberal. They're the conservative, the hard right people. I see those comments more now that I'm in a couple of these spaces, and I'm also getting them sent to us and things like that. And the comments are all about, hey, I want to, I don't want to send all that money over there. I don't want to send all that money over there. I don't want to. But that's not how taxes work, right? I don't want to fucking make bombs, but I got to make fucking bombs. And more of my check goes to bombs than fucking feeding people, feeding hungry people, or taking care of people in different parts of the world that we were doing good work with. Like, there was good work happening because the United States government was funding people getting food, people getting medical attention, people getting housing, different types of ways in which they can deal with mental issues, and helping people in war zones, all these types of things that they were doing. And it was a fraction of the cost of, like, our defense budget. And we're selling and sending weapons all over the world, and we're sending our troops all over. I don't want to pay for that, but I got to, right? I have to. I don't want to pay for lots of different things. But that's not how taxes work. I don't just get to pick some of the stuff we do. And really, the unempathetic, trashy right is just gleeful with how they've cut these things. And they're happy and excited that it makes other people upset. That the one or two things our government was doing that was okay, that most people would be like, yeah, that's fine. I'm actually happy our money's going to that, because it's like a quarter of my, I pay a quarter a year or something for this. Right. And a bunch of people get fed because of it. These people are gleeful that stuff got cut out of there.
And they're stupid, because even if you're just selfish.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Even if I just take a selfish standpoint, what I've done by reducing my soft power internationally is I've made intelligence gathering vastly more difficult.
Way harder.
I've made military operations vastly more difficult to perform. I've reduced the number of on-the-ground allies, ears on the ground. It's going to be harder for our military, if we just want to talk about military, it's going to be harder for our military to secure translators and other on-the-ground assistance. That soft power helps us wield power in other parts of the world. It also keeps us safer by building goodwill and holding back certain other political forces from swooping in and taking advantage. One of the things that gave organizations like the Taliban the ability to swoop in and gain power is they kept the lights on and they kept people fed. If we stop doing that work, someone else will fill that vacuum.
You bet they will.
And those people will now have an allegiance to those folks who might have intents that damage us, right? That are against our own interests. So even if we only have entirely selfish interests, the investment is minimal in USAID, and we reap direct reward from that. There will be times where now we don't know something is happening and some terrorist shit will occur, and we will have consequences from that. We will be in places where we don't have the same kind of boots on the ground connections to individuals and organizations, and that will cost lives, and that will cost money.
Rights. Boy, everyone in this country's always running around yammering about their fucking rights. I have a right, you have no right, we have a right, they don't have a right. Folks, I hate to spoil your fun, but there's no such thing as rights, okay? They're imaginary. We made them up, like the boogeyman. The Three Little Pigs, Pinocchio, Mother Goose, shit like that. Rights are an idea. They're just imaginary. They're a cute idea. Cute. But that's all. Cute and fictional.
New York Times, Trump officials say deportees were gang members. Few details were disclosed. This is one of the most fucked stories. And this is an ongoing legal drama as well. But, you know, the Trump administration has deported people. Venezuela, supposedly, what they've said is that they are Venezuelan gang members. And they shipped them not to Venezuela, but to a prison in El Salvador using a fucking war act, like a fucking wartime act from forever ago that's essentially like never been used, like it hasn't been used in a very, very, very long time and is inappropriate to the situation. And not only did they send people not even to their own home country, but to an entirely other country to be put in a prison without due process. They did all of this without even necessarily verifying that any of these people were these like gang members. They're just like, you got a tattoo, you got to go.
And one of them was very specifically an asylum seeker.
Yeah.
Like one of them, they detail in this article, one of them just had a soccer ball on his as a tattoo. He was a soccer coach. He left his country because he was, you know, being ostracized there and had real hard time. I don't know exactly what was the cause. I don't remember.
He protested against the current administration in Venezuela.
And here's another thing that happens too. And this is something we covered when I used to do the other podcast with Craig when I did Lawful Assembly. A lot of times people who are in other countries, they will sometimes they will have criminal records, but the country that they live in is corrupt. So they will have a charge of some kind, and then they'll come here and they'll check their criminal record and be like, oh, well, you're a criminal. And if they don't have a lawyer who can argue and say, wait a minute, that was because they were protesting against their government. That's something we would consider a virtue here.
So far,
at least in other administrations. Right. And so there's they would have they would have an ability to at least fight against that sort of thing, because sometimes they're unjustly charged with crimes, and that is why they're a criminal, right? That's why they're a criminal according to, you know, our government. And so they would have an opportunity to fight against that. But in this case, all these people are sent back. They haven't really proven that these people are these gang members that they suggest. They have tattoos, I think, with some of the things, but they've been pressured to ask. And a lot of times they're not producing any kind of information for this. This is all going to have to be going in front of a judge. And I've already seen a judge say, you better bring something to me by Tuesday. Yeah. That really shows that these people were who you say they were. Because if you're just shipping people out like this, that's awful, right? And we're going to stop you doing that. And the other thing I want to point out too, we're paying another country to do this. Like, so one thing you have to understand is we're not just shipping them away and it's like, that's the end of it.
No,
like, we're shipping that country money too. We're paying $6 million for something like 238 people. And if you do the math, in the cheapest place to house people in the United States in a penitentiary is Arkansas. We're paying $250,000 more to ship them somewhere else. So if we were to house them in Arkansas, it'd be cheaper. And, you know, look, I don't think you should fucking be imprisoning people who are here seeking asylum.
Of course not.
If that's the case. I don't think that's what you should be doing in the first place. But even still, it's like, wouldn't you want American jobs? You know what I mean?
Right,
Like in some ways, I mean, like you're saying, you know, we want
a good point.
You're going to be spending the money somewhere because it's not like.
But that money would stay in our house. It would churn our own economy.
It's not free to send these people other places. But everybody out there is like, yeah, man, get rid of him. And then like they're posting horrific shit.
I know.
Did you see the closing time video?
No, fuck, man.
Hold on a second.
God, I hate this so much. This is so. This feels like we're podcasting in the middle of we're podcasting our way through a fascist takeover, a racist fascist takeover of our country. Like, I can't believe I'm living through this in real time. Jesus Christ, I fucking hate this.
Here we go, guys. This is what I wanted to show everybody. Here we go. So if you're watching at home and you're hearing closing time, What's really happening is they're showing deportation.
Closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I know who I want to take me home.
Isn't that a horror?
It's a fucking nightmare.
It's a fucking horror.
It's a fucking nightmare.
And it's what we talked about for years. This is not a party of values. This is not a party of action. This is not a party of trying to do the things, those lies that they told you on the campaign trail. No. This is a party of trolling. And this is what they do best.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing it's made to make everybody furious. It's made to make us angry. But what it normally does is it makes us angry and apathetic. But what I want you to do is hear that and make yourself angry with it, but then do something about it. Make some action about it. And there's plenty of things that we can do. Right now, there are 3 seats that are going to be up for by April 1st. There's 3 special elections, and they could get flipped over. So I'm getting messages about it right now. 3 different states. I know Florida's one of them because of Gates, and then a couple others. You can find out more information about those, and then, money, you can probably offer to call, you can offer to do a lot of things to make sure that, maybe in April when this, because they're already starting like early voting on some of these. And this anger that they're seeing in all these red districts all across the country, there's people who live in those red districts, and those there may be some people who are laughing at home at this, but they might not make it out to the polls this time.
Right?
They might not care as much. They'll be like, oh, whatever, who cares? We got it. We're fine. Those 3 votes could be huge for the Democrats in the House. So there's something to do. There's some way to do something about it.
You said something. It just occurs to me. Like, the antidote for us is to care more than they do.
Yeah.
If we care more than they do, there's a lot of us. There's more of us. We have to care more than they do. And then we will be able to win. Like, we'll be able to get this shit. Because the thing is, like, there's a really small window of opportunity. If we do not flip the House and the Senate in 2026, like, we can't prevent what's happening until 2026. My God, can you imagine if he gets 4 years of full control?
Yeah. The
damage he's done in 3.5 months or whatever it's been.
Yeah.
3 months. It's been a fucking complete nightmare. The only solution is to care more.
Yeah.
Apathy is the opposite of the solution. Apathy is the unsolution.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's advancing?
It's not only advancing, it's moving at incredible speed. We're having trouble following it.
This story is from CBS News. Judge blocks Trump's executive order barring transgender people from the military. This is what you were talking about at the top of the show. Judges are thankfully stepping in and saying, like, you can't just do this shit.
Yeah.
You literally do not have the authority. That's not how the separation of powers works. You can't just do this shit.
Yeah, and he's like you suggested, I think a couple shows ago, testing the fences.
Yeah.
He's doing what he can to test the boundaries, push everything he can, and see where things fold. And we're going to talk about a couple of other things because we've seen him push the media and they fold. We've seen him push in other places. Certain states have folded to him. Other people have capitulated to him. The social media companies have already done it because the tech bros, I think, are all on board with all this stuff. And so all these different places that you thought there might be some sort of pushback, there's none of that. There's really been nothing. And the one place we've seen is the judicial branch. And this week he said these judges should be impeached. And it's like, well, you just don't have enough votes, dipshit. Like you can't impeach them. And they have to go through an impeachment process in the House and the Senate. So you're never going to be able to impeach these judges. Nobody's going to impeach them. That was never going to happen anyway.
No, that's not.
So all that stuff is just useless. So guess what? You're just stuck with the judges that were appointed. And now, and one of them, she was complaining. I don't know if you saw this, but this was a story this week. One of the judges, they were complaining about them, saying they were an Obama appointee. And one of the reporters pointed out that was a George W. Bush appointee. They got elevated again by Obama to a different district, but they were
not an appointee.
They were a George W. Bush appointee. So, like you're wrong. You're just wrong. You're just factually wrong. But they want to make everything partisan.
Right.
And judges, again, this is something that I talked about a lot on that Lawful Assembly show. They should be above this sort of back and forth.
Yeah.
They should look at the law and be able to make judgments based on that and not their partisan opinions. They should be able to base their on what the law says and how the law should be carried out. And they shouldn't be and Trump has been since the beginning, and he's recognized that the best way to do this is to make them partisan too. So get hacks in there like that lady who threw his fucking case out.
Yeah, Cannon
and all those people. Get as many of these people you can in there that will that'll pollute the pool. But if you're getting people that don't want to do that, that's way better for the hygiene of the courts. And he was not interested in that at all. He was interested in putting those people, getting those people to fight as much as possible. Look what he did to the Supreme Court.
Oh, yeah.
And look at all of his nominees for federal judges.
And after the impeachment comments that he made on social media, even Chief Justice John Roberts came out and was like, hey, we've had 200 plus years of not doing that shit. Cut it the fuck out.
Yeah.
And hopefully he means it.
Yeah.
And hopefully the other lackey bullshit bootlicking dipshits on the Supreme Court will also want to hopefully preserve their own autonomy and authority, right?
I hope that's the case.
I hope that is. And the only solace that I take is that once appointed, they can fucking grab balls at him, right? It doesn't matter. He can't, these other assholes in the Congress are to some degree subject to his ire, because he can be like, fuck that guy, we're going to primary that guy. He can hurt those people and kind of remove them from power, not himself personally, but he can do a lot to damage them politically such that they don't get reelected, or at least he feels like he can and they feel like he can. I think that's why a lot of those assholes capitulate constantly. The judges not so much. They are not subject to the same kind of pressures. So to some degree, and I think that's structurally, obviously very much the intention of all of this is to create a judiciary that does not subject to the same kind of political pressures. Man, this is our bulwark. It should not come to this.
Yeah.
This is our bulwark. And I was listening to a show that reminded me again today that the scary thing is that judges do not have at their disposal a police force or a military to make sure that the orders they pass down happen. They pass down an order, and it's up to the executive branch, that's their job, is to enforce the law. That's the executive branch's function. We are going to be in a weird spot where if the executive branch loses, throughout all of our history until this moment, we're going to see what happens, the executive branch has said, all right, we lost. We respect your decision. We disagree, but we respect it. If the executive branch just says, well, we're doing it anyway, and the deportation case is potentially the first wedge in that door.
Yeah.
Because the federal judge said, turn those planes around.
Yeah.
And they didn't turn those planes around. They just didn't do it.
Yeah.
And the president of El Salvador mocked our judiciary with a video on their social media saying oops, I guess the plane landed. We didn't catch your order on time. So we're already in a spot where to some degree that the orders of the judiciary are being tested. How far can we push this before we hit a constitutional crisis?
And at a certain point, the judges have power in the sense that they can levy things against people if they don't follow their orders. But like you suggest, who's the one who gets to enforce those levies and those things that are the, if I say, fine, well, I'm gonna say that you're in contempt or whatever, and I'm gonna put you in jail. I don't know what they could do, right? But let's just say that that's what they do. And then everybody's like, yeah, well, I'm just not gonna go to jail.
Right.
Because I don't have to. And fuck you. And then what?
Then what?
And there's a couple of moments in our country where it's gonna be like, well, then what? And I feel like at that point, all bets are off.
Yeah.
All bets are off. And the same thing goes for if they're going to call off the 2026 election. If they call off the midterms, all bets are off.
That's it. There's no more democracy.
I don't know that there's a country anymore.
No, there's not a United States of America.
And
with
we still got people sending us messages this week to be like, oh, it's okay if it gets burned down or whatever.
Yeah,
like last week we said that, and we're like, fuck you, and they're like, oh no, it's okay if it burns down. I'm like, yeah, you're safe. You're far enough away.
Right.
It's fine. Yeah. But I gotta fucking die in the Civil War. Thanks, appreciate it. But no, I mean, it's something that could happen. It could seriously happen. It could be an absolute crisis, and I don't know. I don't even know what I would do. I don't know what I do. I'd be looking for other people, because at that point, I tend to think I kind of know how things. I understand certain things, but at this point, you're breaking all the laws of physics.
Yeah, right. At that point, and if that happens, I just want to be clear too. They say when America sneezes, the world catches a cold. Well, I got to tell you, if America collapses, nobody's okay.
Yeah. Like I said last week, I said, you might be sitting outside of the toilet, but if the shit drops, I'm in the bowl, but you're still going to get splashed.
Yeah.
You're still going to get splashed.
I mean, look at when in 2008, when the United States housing crisis occurred, it threw the world into a global recession.
Yeah. You should
the
care.
whole world.
You should care what happens here.
Everybody will eat our shit.
You should care.
This is outrageous. Where are the armed men who come in to take the protesters away? Where are they? You're charging too high prices for sweaters, glasses. You ride to jail. You undercook fish, believe it or not, jail. You overcook chicken, also jail. Undercook, overcook.
This story is from Huffington Post. Rubio refuses to say if there's evidence justifying Mahmoud Khalil's arrest. So Mahmoud Khalil was a student, I believe, at Columbia, and was leading a protest movement.
And is an immigrant with a green card.
So perfectly legal.
Perfectly legal to be here.
And the Trump administration has arrested him.
Yeah.
And is working on deporting.
Yep.
And they are not saying, they're saying, oh, he broke the law. He's supporting terrorism. He's supporting Hamas.
Where's the proof?
Yeah, and there is nothing. They are being absolutely silent.
Yeah, they're using the jackboots of the state to inflict damage on people they disagree with.
Yeah,
right. Protest is a right. And before people send a message, I don't know if we have any of these assholes who would even listen to this, but I can already hear the right-wingers out there saying, if you don't like this country, what the hell are you doing here protesting? It's like, you can like this country and dislike some of the things that they're doing.
Absolutely.
You can be here, even as an immigrant, and be like, I don't like what's happening in Gaza right now. I'm going to protest that. And you have every right to do that. And the fact that Columbia, I don't know if you saw this, but Columbia was also diplomas and degrees from people who were
I didn't see that. No.
Participated in some of this. This should tell everybody they need to know that higher education isn't on your side either. Okay, this has always been a class war. It's always, and these people are not in your class. All those people are capitulating to Trump. Every single one of these people who makes any kind of money or who has any kind of status in this country, they're all capitulating. It's always been about a class war, and they've always been trying to fucking lie to us that it's not. They've always been trying to throw different things out that it's not. We have something that is, it's a unity that we are of a class that is not their class. We're the lower class. We're not the billionaire class. We're not the millionaire class. Mm-hmm. We're not the class that runs things in this country, but we're the worker class. We're the people who make sure it happens. There's a lot of unity that I think that the Democrats and, whoever at this point, I saw Bernie Sanders this week saying, just run as an independent and then align with the Democrats when it suits your needs. And it's like, yeah, I kind of agree with it.
Sure.
It's like, fucking run as an independent. Fuck them. Like, especially after this fucking craven week when 10 fucking cowards go in and fucking capitulate to the Republicans. Fuck you then.
Yeah.
Like, run as an independent then. I don't care. Like, run as somebody who's going to stick up for the working class. And you know what? This higher education institution should be immune to this sort of thing. You should be able to look Trump in the face and tell him to go fuck himself.
Yep.
And they didn't. They immediately they capitulated here. And this person, they're going to be deported.
Yeah.
Because they thought that America was doing something wrong. And these people want to punish anybody that they can, that they think doesn't fall in line with their ideals.
Yeah, this person is going to get deported because they were acting at the time under the protections of the First Amendment.
Yes.
So those protections are no longer an umbrella.
They don't work for you.
Right?
If they don't work for him, they don't work for you.
Like we have to be real honest here and say, like, there is an aggressive, purposeful stripping away of your civil rights. That is a real thing that is happening. So I saw another story today, probably 10 minutes before I hopped in the car to get to the studio, that the administration is positing that the Wartime Act that they are using under shaky grounds to deport immigrants, that gives them the right to enter homes without warrants looking for immigrants, a violation of the Fourth Amendment. They are violating the First and the Fourth Amendment like they don't mean shit.
Yeah.
Like they do not mean shit. These are like, there are some of our amendments which they're all very, very important, but there are some that have taken on a sacred quality because they define in many ways our values that we hold collectively as a nation, right? The First Amendment, our right to assemble, our right to freedom of speech, freedom of the press. To a large degree, if we're talking about like the zeitgeist of our nation, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, you can't come into my house without a warrant. You cannot enter my home without a warrant. These are part of our cultural identity. They are not just legal things. They are really sacred totems that we hold together that bind us as a people. If we lose them, we are unbound.
Yeah.
We are unbound as a nation.
We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway.
Yikes on bikes. NBC News. Texas megachurch founder Robert Morris indicted on charges of lewd acts with a child. Yeah, like there's a part of this that I want to read because it's particularly grotesque, and I think it's important. When this guy is talking about his own actions, he gets caught, right? He gets caught.
He gets caught and he resigns.
And now he's being indicted. So in June, after Cindy Clemenshire came forward to accuse Morris of sexually abusing her as a child, Morris said he engaged in, quote, inappropriate sexual behavior with a young lady in a home where I was staying. It was kissing and petting and not intercourse, but it was wrong, is what he says. This is not a young lady. This is a kid. This is a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
A 12-year-old kid.
He was 21 and she was 12.
12 years old. That's a sixth grader, man.
It's a little kid, man.
Yeah. You're a senior in college. That's a sixth grader. Think of the gulf there.
Yeah. It's a little kid.
That's a child.
It's a little kid.
To call that child a young lady is to intentionally minimize your own culpability.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're not wrong. This is one of those things though that, you know, if we had a segment every week, you could have someone every week be in this segment.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a pastor who, you know, he fucking diddled a kid.
Yep.
And now he's sorry. He's crying and sorry and whatever. And they're going to charge us, dude, which is great.
Great. Yeah. Awesome.
But, you know, this last week, I'm going to reference the other show I'm doing, this No Rogan Experience. We covered a show where they're regenerating the Pizzagate scandal. And the Pizzagate scandal, we talk about this. The Pizzagate scandal is it's a scandal that talks about a pedophile ring. And we've been saying for so many years, the real pedophile ring is the church.
Yeah.
Like there's a pedophile ring right in front of you. There's a bunch of people who have been shifted around like fucking the worst 3-card money you could possibly imagine, right? You 100%, you don't want to pick any of the cards.
Right, yeah.
Right? You don't want any of the cards, but you certainly don't want the jack. You know, of all of them, you won't want the jack. But I'll tell you what, like these guys, they move them around, they shuffle them around. It's a shell game to all these priests. They move them from one parish to another parish. They do horrible shit. They wind up with jobs with kids even after they've been caught in other places. And it takes years to find this stuff out. And this stuff was way harder to find before the internet was prevalent. So, you know, we have decades of sexual abuse by these priests. Decades of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And people still blind eye to that. They want to make up their own conspiracy to hurt somebody because they don't like them. but there's a literal pedophile ring in front of our eyes.
Yeah, there's a pedophile ring full of a bunch of moral grandstanders.
Yes. Yes.
You know, like here's these fucking moral grandstanders standing in front of you and saying, here is the way to live your life. And if you do it wrong, here are the judgments that we will inflict upon you. I know how to teach you how to be good. And I know how to teach you how to avoid judgment and all this other stuff.
Yeah, man.
And give me a bunch of money. And meanwhile, they're abusing that position of authority to hurt your children in that church. What a fucking nightmare this is. And to pretend that this is always a one-off. How is it always a one-off when it happens constantly?
Like I said, it could be a segment every single week.
Constant.
And this is?
Lewd Dallas Multipass.
Yeah.
Multipass.
Multipass. She knows it's a multipass. Lewd Dallas, my wife. We're newlyweds. Just met.
Multipass.
You know how it is. Bump into each other, sparks happen. Yeah, she knows it's a multipass. Yeah, anyway, we're in love.
PBS News fact-checking Trump's claim that Biden's pardons are void because he used an Autopen. So Trump is furious that Biden proactively pardoned a bunch of people that he wants to hurt. Yeah, which like a lot of people, I think us included, were somewhat critical of.
Yeah.
But I'm super glad in retrospect.
I'm happy he did it. I'm happy. I wish he would have done it like 6 months earlier.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
I wish he would have done it like maybe even if it was right after the election. I wish he wouldn't have done it the last days of the election. I wish he would have done it right after and then taken the heat from it.
Right.
And then just had to answer a couple questions about it and just be like, fuck you. Because I haven't seen Biden since then.
No, but nobody has, I'm sure.
But I will say, like, I wish he would have taken some heat for it. But even still, his argument that that's an Autopen, there's nothing at all in the Constitution about a signature.
Right.
So it doesn't actually have to be signed. It could just be a verbal pardon. So his whole thing is a lie. It's a joke. There's no judge, at least that I could see, that would uphold this and say, oh, it's an Autopen. There's been a sort of standing rule that Autopen documents are okay. That's a standing rule, and pardons don't need them. So it's like, it is a loser for Trump. It's a loser, but he's still screaming about it because what he wants to do is he wants to go after the people who he thinks wronged him. And his constituency wants the same thing.
Yeah. Well, his whole narrative relies on a series of villains.
Yeah.
And I think it's inconvenient for him that he cannot go after Liz Cheney, for example, right? He wants to go after Liz Cheney. He wants to go after all of these people that were on the January 6th Select Committee, and he can't do it. He can't go after Hunter Biden. He can't go after any of these people. So to a large degree, that pours water on the fire of his villain narrative that he needs in order to sort of keep the flames stoked, for people to be excited about this, for people to be like, yeah, there is a cabal, a conspiracy. Like, it all kind of dies out if you can't do anything about it. There's nothing. So this is a way for him to cast out, to say these people were evil the whole time. Hey, Biden was so corrupt, he couldn't even pardon properly. It's like when he's like, oh, like I told Elon to go get those astronauts that Biden just forgot about and left up in space. And it's like, that is the least true series of things. That's not how space even works, my guy.
Yeah.
Like, if you look into it, it's like, no, like, it takes time to plan missions. There's windows of launch. These things were in the works when the date was already set.
It's a right-wing talking point, though. They're all talking about it as if Biden stranded them up there politically.
Yeah. Like, the reason the astronauts got stranded, this is an aside, but the reason the astronauts got stranded is because the Boeing Starliner flew up there and realized it was a Boeing, and so it broke.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't get on it because it was a fucking Boeing and the doors fell off it or whatever.
And then it came back down and whoever was working on it committed suicide 4 times.
So they're like, all right, that's kind of a loser. We don't want to get on that one. That keeps catching on fire or whatever fucking crazy shit. But then it's not like you can be like, oh, well, we'll just send a new spaceship up in the air. Like, that's not how spaceships work. It's not how any of this works.
Man, the idea that you could just like get in, go to your garage and get your second spaceship.
Right.
You know?
Oh yeah, we'll just fly up there. Like, there's windows for launch that are very specific when shit's fucking lined up, and you got to get fucking everything. Like, There are T's to cross and I's to dot before you shoot fucking hundreds of thousands of pounds of rocket fuel into the fucking atmosphere. And he's pretending like, I made a phone call, got my good guy Musk on a phone.
Well, and then of course the people that are up there are like, yeah, thank you for getting me down or whatever. But it's like, yeah, they were going to get you down anay. No matter what, it was going to happen.
The mission was set during the Biden administration.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's such a stupid thing. Well, in any case, auto pens don't work. So any orgasm you have from a vibrator is null and void.
I had to look up an Autopen.
Yeah.
They're weird. Did you see one?
I haven't seen one.
When I first read Autopen, I was like, oh, like they probably just mean like a digital stamp or something. Like
it's like a plotter.
It's a pen.
Yeah, it's a plotter that does like a thing. Yeah.
It's a pen that like lives in like a thing and it signs your name.
Yeah.
In this.
I figured it'd be like a plotter, like what I used to do, like drafting back in the day, and that would have like a thing that was a plotter, and the thing would stay still, but the paper would move all over, and you could do circles and curves and write and draw.
It's very similar to that. Yeah. Super weird little device.
Yeah.
I kind of want one. I don't know why. I don't sign shit
with it.
I don't sign shit.
You don't sign anything.
Oh, I still want one though.
Yeah.
It's cool.
At that point, you got to sign things.
I'd sign everything.
You have to sign things.
I put the kids in there. Sign I'd put everything. I'd be signing constantly.
Cats in there. It's like a cat. It's like a cat with a Tom on the back walking around the house. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this week. We're going to be back on Thursday with a patron show, and then we'll be back on Monday with a full show for everybody, and we're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno-Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, watered downward spiral, brain deadpan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death in towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards,
no double clutching, gear jamming, coffee drinking,
nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/dissonancepod. Help us spread the word by sharing our content. Find us on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Threads, all under the handle @dissonancepod. This show is CAN credentialed, which means you can report instances of harassment, abuse, or other harm on their hotline at 617-249-4255 or on their website at creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org.